So yes, hello everyone. So today we have Shrikant, and who is going to present and walk us through Query Builder 5. I think everyone who has ever interacted with SigNoz, the community or the repository, you know Shrikant. Like it's impossible that you have not heard about him or you have not spoken to him yet. So I'm very excited that we have the most popular folk here today presenting one of the most revolutionary feature. He has worked on it for months. So Shrikant, before we do anything, I would like a very short introduction of yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Shrikant. I have been working on SigNoz product for about 4 years now. Before that, I was a maintainer for Open Telemetry. I'm excited to be talking about Rebuilder.
So, Shrikant, my first question about the feature would be, we are looking at version 5 right now. Can you please take me to the history? What happened before this? What did we have before this?
So if I have to take it back, like 2022, there used to be a version of there used to be different versions of the query builder across the product. Each had their own ways of doing the things. We used to have an old logs explorer it was where it was a kind of a search where you write without where you write the query, which is custom and very specific to the logs only, that it was only going to work with the logs and it was just specific to logs. And there you could not get the suggestions about that. Hey, do I have the http dot method in my data, or do I have any other keys? Or let's just say if I have a service name and I'm trying to use that service name as a part of the search, it did not support these suggestions that, hey, these are the list of known services that I have in my system, use any of them. Like, the reason why these suggestions are really important is that you only know many times what is the prefix of it, or like what is the, you don't really know the exact values of it. And this is where it becomes crucial that you get this suggestion so that you pick the exact value of it. So this is one of the crucial steps, that anything that you do, you need to have these suggestions to help you to complete it. But otherwise it was just going to be that you do the guesswork and not get it right. So that was like the very days of it. While it was there was no query builder for traces at all. Like, we didn't have any query builder. We had some pages where you could do the filtering based on the predefined set of filters that right now you probably see in SigNoz product left side. There are set of filters. In the early days of SigNoz, we used to have only those. We did not have any search. We did not have any like different things. Like, we only have a predefined set of filters, and everything worked on the predefined set of filters. At the time, we used to have no query builder for metrics at all. There was only PromQL. There was no query builder at all. There was only PromQL, which is just a simple input box without any suggestions at all. Just like you copy PromQL from somewhere, put it into the product. If it works, it works. Otherwise, it's on you. Your own to figure out that why it doesn't work. And that it was the time. Then we introduced, like, there were, even at the time there were multiple versions of the predefined set of the query builder itself. That, okay, PromQL was there, it was the v2 version of it, because we added a clickhouse query support. And like, traces had a predefined set of it. Then we introduced the v3 query builder. What we did with the v3 query builder, we introduced the unified experience across the product, that, okay, hey, this is the query builder. You get the support for, it's a kind of a layer on top of SQL that helps you do the work much easier. Like, earlier that you didn't have a aggregation capabilities. With the v3 query builder, we enabled users to work with their data. It's as if, like, if you try to look at the query builder and look at the components of it, it's a kind of a UI abstraction layer on the SQL query, that, hey, search on these, count them, group by, limit them, maybe occasionally order by. So, but the heavy lifting is done from the UI, so that you get all the suggestions, you get all the what data to work with preview without having to write the raw SQL queries, because writing the SQL queries is is painful, because you need to understand the tables, you need to get it right. Another thing is that it's there are a lot of people who are just not um, familiar or don't want to work with the raw SQL queries directly. Give like they prefer it that, hey, I have a use cases that I really don't need like complex queries. I just need a very like standard things that, okay, count me the things where the status code is greater than 200. When we rolled it out, there was nothing like there wasn't like we didn't get a lot of we didn't get a lot of complaints initially. As we started to see more and more problems, we realized we compiled those list of problems. So it's as if like we had the v3 query builder for run for like at least 2 years, I guess. Now we have we are talking about the v4, right? Now there is a v4 query builder. V4 query builder, in a sense, is not major change from the V3 query builder. What we introduced in the V4 query builder, we changed the way the matrix aggregations work. So we introduced a new mechanism that, hey, you need to have a time aggregation and space aggregation as a separate thing. So we were clubbing them under one aggregation, and that kind of confused a lot of people because there can be various combinations. Like let's just say I have two options, right? So we introduced a UI revamp onto that, where we changed it. So v3 to v4 wasn't any major. It was a minor addition to the offering that we were making. And let's just say that the problems of the v3 are also the problems of v4 because we just changed some UI element but nothing major. Now, over the years, we heard a lot of complaints about the V3, and while it is true that there were a lot of complaints, a lot of, let's just say, scenarios that it's very rare, but once you run into them, it's very frustrating experience. When we built initially V3, it was driven by the traces and metrics. Now, in traces and metrics, it's not very common to have the need for the logical R support or the very complex syntax support, complex condition support. But this is very basic need in the logs search. Like when you are searching with the logs, when you are working with the logs, this ability to have the logical or between the condition and ability to write the complex condition is the necessity. Now, wherever we were trying to make decisions on behalf of you in V3, we no longer do that. That was one of the things that sometimes we used to make assumptions on behalf of users, and they would be surprised about that. Hey, I did not tell you to do that, but you decided that you went ahead and did it, but it's the incorrect thing to do. So that would surprise them a lot. One principle that we followed in the QBV5 is that we don't make any decisions on behalf of user, but if we do, in any case that we have to make a decision and and what we do, it should be the least surprising thing. There was one specific case where we did something that turned out to be the surprising to them, so we had to make a decision that, okay, hey, we're going to revisit, we changed it so that it becomes the least surprising aspect.
Right, okay. I'll dig more about, what that surprising aspect was. But Shrikant, I have heard, I don't know if the number is right, but I've heard that with the launch of Query Builder version 5, you have closed somewhere about 80 to 100 issues. Is that true?
It is true because there are it is those issues have been accumulated since the rollout of the v3. It is as if like the tech debt of 2 years of work, that, okay, hey, we will address it, and that prolonged it to the and in team's defense, I would say it is also something that got us from the in 2022 to 2024 2025. It's just not that the v3 is terribly bad. There are there are some cases where it was frustrating experience. So it is true that we closed like 80 to 100, like 80 around 80 issues, but there is still at least 50 plus issues that are yet to be done. Like it's the work what we did is incomplete. Like it's, if I would say, it's a very fast iteration of what we want to do. There is a lot of work to do, and we it's our goal is that we get the initial iteration one chunk. Next set of things that we are going to do going to be it's going to be even minute in iterative, that okay, one by one we go, rather than doing another big chunks of migration or big chunks of enhancements that we ship at one point. So
So that's what, like, we keep taking small steps, but sometimes you just have to take that leap. So I
ha,
believe that this is the leap that was needed.
right, that is true.
Yeah. So, Shrikant, I also know that, for the query builder to take shape, a lot more changes also happen because I've been following the changelog very closely. And even I saw that, those minute changes. And I think I've been seeing this for 4 months now. So, would you like to touch upon that? Which were the other features that were also maybe out explicitly also mentioned in changelog that was also needed? So, it just needed that time.
So see, this is true that if there were two ways to go about how we build this, right? Let's just say simply we replace the v3 query builder search clause with the new clause, and then say we are done because we are supporting it. But that would be very premature or incomplete way to go about it, because there are hundreds of problems that are around it. It was, while the search was one of the problems component, not having that R capability, etc., it was a big part of the problem, but it wasn't the only problem. Now when we decided to revamp this, the way, because the product is structured in such a way that it has a, it the impact of it, the places where it will take part, it is multifold. For example, let's just say if we introduce the query builder in explorer page, we can't just go with the explorer page only alone, because when you do it from the explorer page, your next likely step is going to either save it to certain dashboard or create an alert out. Now, what does that mean? If I ship the v5 in Explorer, I have to ship it in the alerts, I have to ship it in the dashboards. Now, what that means is that certain capabilities like value panel type, it's specific to dashboard. Now, because I'm shipping query builder for Explorer, even though that I didn't want to think about the panel type, now I'm being forced to think about the panel type, because I can't just ship them in the one specific Explorer and not care about the alert or the dashboard. So it introduced this, like, because these are connected components, we had to roll it out. Now the same thing goes for the traces Explorer and the metric Explorer. Your next thing is to that you either make a view out of it, or you create a dashboard out of it, or you create alert out of it, except maybe there are cases where you just see the results and go away. Now because of this, it kind of, the scope of this change was that we need to ensure dashboards are done properly, alerts are done properly, and the explorer pages are done properly. Now let's talk about the explorer pages, right? Now I am revamping the query as a whole. It means that there were certain places where certain elements were being put in the UI. Now I need to rethink about it, because I'm completely discarding the whatever I built. I'm bringing something new. It means that we will introduce something which is better than the past, but still as capable as the past. It has to be as capable as the what we offered past. It has to be improved experience. It is more capable. One of the things that I would say here is that in Logs Explorer, if you wanted to see the logs in a chronological order, it was it was not very obvious for many users. Although the capability was there, it was not obvious for users, because it was hidden somewhere deep in the that, and that nobody would be able to figure out on their own. Now the feedback that we got from the users is that it is not even that hey, it is hidden, they simply did not even discover it, that hey, how do I do this, because I am unable to figure out how to do that. That gave us the clear idea that certain things should not be hidden away, when their main objective is that they want to either see in the chronological order, they want to see in the latest logs first start. So what we did, that we got rid of everything that is unnecessary in that specific view, certain things which should have been the main components of that view. So we made it upfront that okay, so this is how you change, rather than putting them behind the scenes and hiding them. So the improvement, this was not part of the query builder at all. But because we are touching the explorer, we are replacing the query builder, we had to do certain things better. So because we have collected the feedback, even though the logs chronological order are the latest first logs order, nothing to do with the query builder. It was the UX improvement that went along with the query builder. It has nothing to do with the query. The same capability existed earlier, the same capability exists now, but the UX we changed it that so that it is easily discoverable. Earlier it was hidden, it is now easily discoverable. Now you kind of see the scope creep, right? Like there was nothing about the, now I wouldn't say the scope creep, but let's just say that the debt that we collected over the time we had to pay off. That you it was not discoverable anyway. Because I'm going to revamp it, we will make it more prominent, we will make it discoverable, so that you don't have to come and ask me that how to do that, or make a assumption that they don't support it, because we clearly support it, just that it wasn't discoverable. So that's a, and these kind of changes that I talked about, right? There were at least 20 to 30 of them that had nothing to do with the query builder, but we are touching the query builder and the explorer pages anyway. So we went ahead, revamped it, and changed the UX so that it becomes more easily discoverable for them.
Shrikant actually touched upon a very core principle of UX, right? So I'm forgetting the terminology right now. Maybe I'll drop it later in the description also. But what it says is that every time a user interacts with your product, they are neutral. They don't feel positive about it. They don't feel negative about it. But sadly, the negative points are always way higher than the positive. So I understand, because I've been that user. I was unable to list it chronologically. So I very much relate to that pain point, and I remember talking to our team also about it. Now I can already imagine that even though they're having a fantastic experience above in the Explorer page of logs, with the query builder, and immediately if they have the negative effect, either I expect them to again feel neutral about a product, and then all the
Right,
efforts that has gone behind the
right,
query builder just fizzles out, or the worst is at the end they are left with, okay, they have written down a query, they have something, yet they are unable to use it the way they want.
right,
I would expect it to just go negative further, that okay, you first of all shipped such a huge change, it might have gotten some trouble to us, and at the end still we are not able to. So I
right,
get that thought process, and
right.
that's yeah, that's commendable that you have also thought about it so
So
deeply.
it is I would say something that we, it is something that I would say a lesson learned over years. It is something that, if I have to, if I'm being honest, I've been thinking about the US like maybe since the starting of the 2025. I did not pay a lot of attention to the UX earlier. Having seen, like, let's just say I get a support request, I go on a call with them, and I see something not working, or I see something that they're struggling to find something which I believe is obvious because I built it, I know where it is, which I believe it is obvious. I see the frustration when something is behaving weirdly, or I see the, and I feel that, and I see that they're not able to discover something which seems like obvious thing to me. Having seen these over and over and over and again, kind of made me realize that no matter how obvious you think something is, it is never an obvious thing, even for the senior developers. Like, these are not like, junior developers are just getting into their careers, they have been in this industry for like 5 to 10 years, and they are struggling to understand, and they are able to not able to discover it, or they can't make sense of it. I can't say that they are like incapable or anything, because it's just your product and UX ka problem. Like, if they have been an engineer, they should be able to figure it out. And if you're thinking that, hey, this should be obvious, but it doesn't seem like obvious thing, you got it wrong. So you go back and visit fundamentals and do it right, and then get it right again. So I would say that it wasn't the thing that I paid attention to earlier, but having been on the support and having getting into the calls with them, and then realizing that no matter how obvious I think it is, that it is still not obvious. A lot of in product docs that you need to make, tooltips to help them understand what certain things to does, and then more demo kind of videos, more docs, etc. So it has to be at every step that you want to put attention to the detail, so that, like, overall it doesn't feel like a lot of a lot of things to learn. Like, in the product you want to make sure you get it right, but then you also put the in product docs and links to the external docs, so that they can go learn more about it if they want to learn more about it. how to be a power user of it. So it's, I would say that that it is definitely that something that I'm carrying on even today also, that it is something that wasn't something that I paid my attention to or I cared as much, but having seen these problems over the year, now it's the main thing that I pay attention to, that what does the UX look like, how do they, like, what is their interaction is going to be. Doesn't matter how great your technical solution is, that if they can't able to discover it or make use of it, worthless, like throw it away. We'll get it right again, we'll do it again. So that's the kind of philosophy right now I have, that you can have an elegant technical solution, but if that is not shaping up to be the good experience onto the when somebody is working interacting with the product, it's useless. So that's a kind of the one of the like guiding philosophy right now we are incorporating into the team, that UX and the in the experience, like overall experience is the ultimate that we think we target.
That's true. And although I've used the version 4 very little, so I didn't really go through the pain points. But immediately when I started using the version 5, I could feel a major change. I could feel that, okay, I have to think about such less things to, get my outcome. So that was a fantastic experience. And with that, Shrikant, can we just take a look at the product, what exists?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
And I would love you to take us through, some of the use cases. Like if there's a particular problem, how they would go about it.
Cool. Let me share my, can you see my screen?
Yes.
um, yeah, so this is the demo that environment that I'm working with. If you see the the new query builder here, in the list view, there are only two things that you will be able to see. One is the search component, and the other is the order by. So this was the one that I was earlier talking about, that if you want to change in different order, just change this. You get that back. Now, if you were to do the same thing in the past query builder, it's hidden away. So if you're lucky, you found it. Even if you found it, it was very inconvenient way to go about it. So that was the one of the pain points that we addressed. Now let's say I come here, right? So I have this data. So you have a list view. Like logging product is, I would say, despite distributed tracing catching up onto the people interest, and then people more and more people starting to use, logging remains the go-to tool for developer, because they don't need an extra effort to put the logging in their code. Just simply log.info, some action has been performed, log.warn, I failed to send this data, log.error, something went wrong, something fatal went wrong, go look at it. But distributed tracing, like you want to instrumentation to happen, it's a type of logger. So logging will still remain the one of the major things that our people use. So this is the reason why we wanted to bring that experience that will give them the ability that they can use it as if like they can be the power user of it, where they can do the complex searching. And even if, let's just say, they want to do the simple full text search, they can simply type in and then they get the values. For example, let's just say I want to see all the logs that are, let's just say, message sent. Now I go here with the new query builder. What we did is that if you type this and then run it, you get it. So it's as if like a Google search. Like, bring the text that you want to work with, type it, run it. Now you get all the results that are matching to it. So this like kind of a search experience that gives you that you have an error that you see, or let's just say user sent you a certain error. You don't need to do anything. Just copy, paste it into it, and run it. It will execute. Like when you want to do the ad hoc searching experience, this is one of the powerful things that will give you. Now let's just say you have a certain use cases. For example, let's open one of these blocks, right, and go look at the what attributes does it have. So there is a bunch of resource attributes that you have. Now let's just say you want to see these logs if they are coming from any of the in like how many of these logs are coming from, let's just say, which namespaces are they coming from. So I go to the type. So list view, you use it for ad hoc debugging purposes. Time series view or the table view, like time series view, when you want to get a trends of it. For example, that hey, uh, let's just say it is your application use case that where you are sending out the OTPs to the external users or writing it to the certain thing. Now this time series view simply shows that, okay, hey, if you look at it, search by the message sent, count how many times are they doing. So you effectively get that, okay, hey, on per every minute, so this is the frequency at which that I am sending my messages out. So this gives you the trend. Usually when you look at a larger period of times, and you see you see a steady patterns, it doesn't show any anomalies. But this is helpful when you want to say that you want to spot anomalies. Now whatever you are looking at, it is at this granularity, right? Now alternatively, you can here see that it allows you to flexible how what is the interval that you want. Let's just I look at the data for 1 hour, and I want the data to be shown at every 30 seconds instead of whatever the automatic being done, so that you can do it. So you will see a different graph now, because the points are aggregated at every 30 seconds. So you get the flexibility that you are no longer need to be enforced with the whatever the platform gives, but you have the flexibility that you can go as low as 5 seconds. So you can get a you can get the data at 5 seconds granularity. Now you can see the graph change, because the granularity at which you are looking at the data is influencing the result, which is very important, where 30 seconds may hide certain details. For example, you have a certain use cases where you do like where it is set to be 30 seconds, but it sometimes what happens is that the longer range of time intervals that you do, the potential that you potentially miss the certain anomalies. So you get the flexibility to have whatever the like aggregation interval that you want. Now you can see that there occasionally here, like they remind to be at the, like on average they remind to be around the 1.2. Occasionally there are cases that it comes to 1k and there is income. So these are points of interest that, okay, hey, likely that something might have happened here, what went wrong here. So you will want to go and look at the specific details of this window, that okay, now I zoom into the specific window, now I go to the list view, maybe I find something here that, okay, what is the specific reason that it could potentially have gone into. Now this may not be specifically visible from this list itself, that hey, you may want to go look at the like whatever that time was there any something that happened. It looks like, if you look at this around this time, seems like something, something memory, it seems to be spiked, like, so you look at this. So that is like this view now gives you that how to jump from the one view to other view while still using the capabilities.
So, she, while I was looking at this, one thought that crossed on my mind is that, okay, for an end user, right, when someone reports a bug, it could be like they could possibly be on fire. They need to solve it in few minutes, ideally. And now when they're thinking and they're focused about the problem, they shouldn't have to convert it into a mathematical equation to start working towards the solution. Like this was a small takeaway that I had, while you were explaining me all the little aspects that you have thought about. So in day one, we saw that, Aditya is working on interactive dashboards. So I get like, why you were thinking about every module that we have, say logs, metrics, traces, alerts, how they work together. Because our dear friend Aditya is making it very easy for them to carry the exact same context, the query, and keep switching from one screen to the other without breaking the context. And for the context to carry over, yes, you have to think about many more things than just that one query builder that I see on top on the
Right.
screen
So
right now.
right. So one of the other things about the query builder is that it's a kind of a it sets the base to the rest of the product, that everything that we do will be heavily be relying upon this query builder. So anything that you do here is something that you take into the consideration that, okay, hey, this is something that we eventually want to, like, for example, the same query builder, I want to go replace it with the, like, for example, I go to the metrics tab, and you see that this is there, right? And not sure if you are aware, there are a lot of complaints about this, so we'll be replacing with it. And what does it mean to replace it here, and what does that query builder, like, what are the implications of the same query builder, that if I want to, let's just say, you can't have a certain query builder that is going to prevent somebody from building something great, right? So it's also something that needs to be taken consideration into the while you're building the query builder, that okay, we ensure that whatever we are doing it will not let anybody prevent from them achieving their future goals. So that's one of the other things that although that the end user doesn't see it, something that while we were working on it is something that we needed to pay attention.
That is true, yes. And so will we see the query builder very soon, even in metrics?
Yes, yes,
Like,
that is the next thing that next thing that we plan to do is that we will replace it. Like for example, I can show you the problems. Like for example, if I do something like metric name contains HTTP, you see the problem. It doesn't work.
yeah.
So this is not the experience that we want people to have. This is we recognize this problem. So the next thing that we are going to do is replace this component here with the component extra. So right now this new component is only there in the parts of the products, explorers, dashboards, and alerts. We are going to bring this to be the component that we use across the product.
Oh, that's nice. And Shikan, do you like, are you looking at a set timeline to complete those changes?
Um, So it is if we are still ironing some details out for the new query builder that we have, because as we got some feedback. So but like the once we are done with the bugs and the feedback that we get, we're going to then come to the revisit the rest of the product that we have.
Oh, okay, great. And Shikan, something that, yeah, I'll again, definitely add these screenshots when I'm publishing the blog on Query Builder is the community has very well appreciated and accepted this change. Like constantly, I think on daily basis, I'm seeing at least someone mention this change and, yeah, appreciated that, the work behind it and how it has changed their own experience of querying. So
Yeah,
would you like to mention, yeah, some of those interactions?
right. So one thing that really, even though it doesn't seem like anything different to in general, but one thing, like there was one community user who shared us that they replaced their ClickHouse queries with the query builder queries. It doesn't look like anything to like for any reader or like anybody who is reading, or like it doesn't seem like anything changed. But it was one of our goals that people don't have to reach out to learn the query language and write some custom ClickHouse query to achieve something, when we could have enabled them to do the same thing with the query builder. We do the heavy lifting. For example, let's just say I have something like query here, that let's just say I want to do something like node name contains management or pod name contains Kafka. For example, let's just say I want to do like latest dot node name contains management. um, let's just say I use this, or let's just say pod name contains Kafka. Let's just say if I wanted to do this, it wasn't possible in earlier query builder. Or let's just say I want to do parenthesize this, and let's just say I do like not around this. So a lot of this complex expression weren't possible earlier. Now we made it possible. The outcome of that is that they were replacing their ClickHouse queries with the query builder queries. Now exactly one of the problems that we wanted to solve, that if I can help you with doing it much simpler way with the query builder, don't write the ClickHouse queries, because you need to learn the language. ClickHouse query is SQL language, and you will forget about it. And also another burden is that as the schemas of the tables migrated, you need to modify the queries. But right now, I'm abstracting that detail for you. Just write this. You don't need to care about the underlying schema. You don't need to learn about the ClickHouse query language, or you don't need to be bothered about the what are the table names, etc. So this is one of the things that like they expressed that, and it was really like great thing to hear personally for me, because this was one of the goals that we wanted to do, that okay, we build something that they don't have to reach out to and write a complex ClickHouse queries and be bothered about that. So that's one of the things that like they like among other things that that I really felt good about it, because it is not something that we told that are like we are telling it to the user that hey, we want you to replace it. But when somebody told that they replaced it, it was fulfilling of our objective, that hey, we built it so that they don't have to reach out to the ClickHouse. Not only are they now not writing the ClickHouse, they are proactively replacing the existing ClickHouse queries with the query builder query, which was a good thing, because now I can enable you to, because right now I can copy this, right? I can copy the same thing. I can go to the traces explorer. I can paste it and do the exact thing. But you can't do the same thing with the ClickHouse query because you need to change the table names, you need to change the column names, you need to do a lot of specific to that data source. So it was a very good thing. Like personally, highlight for me was that of course we shipped a lot of features and then people are able to do things. One of the highlights for me especially was that somebody when they told that okay they replaced the ClickHouse queries with the query builder, that was very good moment.
So this query builder has been live for about 2 to 3 weeks now for everyone, for all of our users. And we have not promoted it actively. We have just written a one line, an entry in changelog. And the adoption has been, and in the comments that we are getting without doing any marketing, without pushing them to, explore this feature shows that UX thinking that, you have done. And I would, kudos to the design team also. It has been it has been a teamwork to even get this experience. I think this is one of those features that doesn't need to be marketed. People are experiencing it, they're openly talking about it, they're sharing it with their team members and also the external folks. It's a very big win for for us as a feature. We have started building feature that sells itself.
Yeah, this is true, and this is for our own, like some of our own so we use SigNoz internally ourselves, and some of our own users use this. Like it's in a way it's we are building it, we are in a part way that I'm building it for myself, so that there is a selfish reason to that.
So yeah, that has been an excellent conversation with Shrikant. So before we conclude this call, what are the other improvements we can expect in Query Builder? And I know that you have mentioned that the next improvements are going to be minor. Are we looking at version 6 anytime soon?
No, we are not going to go to the version 6 anytime soon because we thought about the everything, but something that there are some really interesting features that were thought and that were designed that just that they need to be like shipped is that there is something called subqueries. There are joins. For example, let us say I want to look at the, for example, let's say http dot status code greater than or equals to 50. Let's just say I'm looking at this, right? Now you are looking at this data where there is a 503, right? Now, one of the things that we want to do is that the what is the CPU usage of the service load generator, and have a subquery that says that okay, I need to have the HTTP status code 500, but CPU usage also greater than 80, just to correlate immediately that hey, this 500 status code is likely because of the CPU was too high. There was not enough CPU. So one of the features that we want to we plan to do is that the subqueries where do you get the CPU usage? You get it from the metrics, but you are in the traces explorer page. So what we want to enable with the subqueries is that when you work with a certain data, have a subquery that comes from the other data source. Now you are going to have a subquery that says that okay, hey, also ensure that the CPU usage is greater than 80 percentage. Only include those spans. Now you are only going to get those spans where the status code was greater than 500, and while that 500 is being returned, the CPU usage was greater than 80. Right now, that information is not available. So one of those features that we plan to bring it to the new query builder is that the subqueries. The other queries, the other features that we want to enable is the joins. Right now, you still work in the traces data and the logs data in isolation. That if you want to do it logs, you go to the logs explorer. If you want to do it in traces, you go to trace explorer. But there is no place where you can join this data together and get a even more better view of it, right? For example, you have a function call that is executing the both traces and that is also logging certain things, right? Now there is no way where you can look at the full end-to-end representation of the data, both the traces and logs, anywhere in the product and correlate them. So other features that we want to enable with the query builder, besides the subqueries, is the joins, where okay, hey, I want to join my traces data with the logs data on the particular trace ID and then have a certain condition. For example, let's just say, give me the logs where the span duration is greater than 500 milliseconds. Right now, it's not possible. You can't even do that. And we want to enable that to happen. And where do you get that 500 milliseconds? You get it from the traces data. But you want to see the logs data where span duration was greater than 500 milliseconds. So we are going to make that those use cases enabled through the data joins. So subqueries and the data joins are the two new enhancements, the major enhancements that will be part of the query builder. We don't see
Okay.
any breaking changes or need to rewrite anything because we thought about it, and it's just that execution is remaining. Even if we execute it, there is no breaking changes we expect.
That's great. That's great, Shikha. And then also you have taken us to the entire journey of how much thought was put into it.
Right.
So I understand that yes, we have to wait for it to get more stable. Small improvements are going to keep coming on the way.
Right.
And yes, it was very exciting. I think Shrikant, this like today, day two has been very different than our past discussions in launch week too, because today we got to see the engineering side of what goes behind it. Because even when I was thinking about, okay, what question do I ask Shrikant, I knew that if I ask you to just show me the query builder, I think it would have been a 5-minute video, because you just write 2 3 queries and we would have been done.
Right.
But the real heavy lifting was done behind the scenes. And thank you so much. This is also the first time for me that I heard the entire story, and it was very motivating. So thank you so much, Shrikant. And yes, I would request everyone that if you have any suggestions, any queries about a query builder, please drop in into our community. Shrikant is very active. Shrikant is always here to listen and help everyone. So yes, we are looking forward to more feedback, and let's keep improving it. Thank you so much, Shrikant.